you. First off, and I have some notes, I'm probably not even going to look at them. I don't normally speak in public. That's kind of not something I've really been very familiar with through my career in the NFL. But I must admit, I feel very comfortable today, having met a lot of you people outside. Made it very easy for me to come up here and talk about the team and some of the things we've done. Obviously, as we made note of, we've felt we've had a good free agency. Again, time will tell how we do on the field. And we're very excited about the players we've added on the pro side, but I'd like to talk a little bit, at least introduce you to, and you guys are fairly familiar with them, some of the players we've drafted this year, just to give you a little feel for our first 4 picks in the draft. And the other thing I thought, and as everybody's kind of alluded to, like, you guys, there's a lot of things, like I work with a group of scouts and with the coaches. I spend lots of time in kind of a dark film room watching videotape. But it's actually, I really enjoy coming out here and getting to know some of you guys, because at the end of the day, you guys are almost as important to us as everything we've done in the offseason in terms of the players we've acquired, because as everybody's alluded to, like, your home field advantage is truly important in the NFL. But as you're going to see up here, this is Leonard Williams, obviously our first pick in the draft. I'd also like to at least give you a little insight into some of the things that happen in our war room or behind the scenes, so you guys at least have a little idea or learn a little bit about us in terms of what we've done. Obviously, as a player, Leonard was a player we were very excited about getting at the 6th spot in the draft. He's a player we had rated very high in the draft going into the draft. As you can see, he's a very big, athletic, quick, explosive player. Has a lot of parts and pieces to be but we feel is a very good addition to our team and a very good player to play in our defensive line rotation. I'm obviously let Todd figure out how to best utilize these guys in the field, but obviously with Mo and Sheldon and Snacks also, I mean, this is going to be a good situation for us up front, hopefully. But Leonard was a guy we're very excited about. Some people have asked me outside, and I've talked about this a little bit, going into the draft, we more or less grade these guys in a bubble. So we try to figure out who's best from like 1 to 300. Leonard was a player that we had rated very highly. We thought he had a very big upside in terms of potential. He's only 20 years old. I think he's going to literally turn 21 here in about 2 months or maybe a month and a half. So to us, he was a guy that had so much potential that he was just scratching the surface of. Leading up to the draft, we try to project who's going to be available at 6. You never really know until you get there on the draft. There's always something that unexpected happens in almost every draft I've ever been around, where you think a player is not going to be there and he suddenly ends up being where you're about to pick. We actually follow mock drafts going into the draft. Through the internet and the media, we do our own little projections. We never really saw Leonard getting to 6. We always saw Leonard going somewhere between 3 or 4, sometimes 5. So when the first 2 quarterbacks went 1 and 2, and Fowler went 3, and we knew Cooper, the Raiders really liked Cooper going 4, Leonard got to 5, and we knew at 5, Washington, very late in the process, had started sort of putting out feelers saying they already signed 3 defensive linemen in free agency. And we knew they'd like the offensive guard from Iowa, who we thought was a good player too, but there was a chance Washington was going to auction the pick. So we sort of waited it out. I always kind of believe there's kind of efficiency in our marketplace, i.e. good players don't last very long. But Washington eventually didn't make the trade, took the player from Iowa, and literally Leonard fell right into our lap. We were very excited about that. Of course, we remained very calm. We actually had some trade offers, but nothing to the point of where we thought we would walk away or trade out of that pick. The one thing I felt going in, we kind of had a feeling Leonard may be there at 6 late in the process. There's a few players on our board that I felt very, very good about, meaning if we're sitting there at 6, unless we got a really good trade option, I was going to basically take the best player available. And that kind of ties back into what we did in the pro free agency, where we really tried to look at what the available talent was in the pro side and then go out and sign what we felt was the best impact for the potential cap dollars we had, to take as much pressure off of us in the draft to kind of maybe factor in a need into our decision-making process. And I personally believe, again, a little insight for you guys, joining us here today, and I do thank you for that. I kind of believe personally in the draft, for the most part, you try to draft the best player available. All things being equal, you can actually factor a need into which player you take. But if you have a player that's clearly better than the players around him, we thought Leonard was, we went forward with him and drafted him. So obviously we're looking forward to seeing how Leonard does for us going forward. We're very excited about having him.